Hey dreamers, welcome back to your Dream Coach podcast. My name is Shayla Wey. I'm a small business coach, growth strategist, and believer that your dream life starts the moment you lead like you mean it. Well, this podcast is all about leadership, fulfillment, and growth. Today's episode is a little different and one I know will light a fire in you no matter where you are in your journey. You're about to hear a live message I gave to a sales team during something called Push Week. For context, I spent many years working with an incredible direct sales company, Cutco, and Push Week is their version of high energy sales competition, a sprint to the finish line where reps challenge themselves to hit big goals in a short amount of time. But here's the thing, is that this message isn't really about selling knives. It's about what it takes to lead yourself when it's hard. It's about the habits and mindset that shape who you're becoming, not just what you're achieving. So whether you're a coach, an entrepreneur, team leader, or simply someone chasing a dream, I promise the principles inside this talk will resonate deeply. We'll dive into topics like the emotional cycle of change, the power of intention, service-based leadership, and why the way you finish a chapter matters more than any scoreboard. So wherever you're tuning in from, take a deep breath, grab your notebook if you're a pen to paper kind of person, and enjoy this special message. Finish strong, build character, and leave a legacy. So let's dive in. And so what I thought I would do to make the most of our time today is just go through 10 little tips that I kind of pulled together from almost 2 decades of experience and be able to pass some of that wisdom on to you. I've been in your shoes and I remember the feelings that you are feeling now, the excitement when you get the big sale, the frustration when the alarm goes off and you have to get to the office again and it's just another day. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about what's really happening behind the numbers. Because when I look at where I'm at and the things I've been able to do as a mom, as a wife, as a leader, building businesses with the podcast, helping so many different people, is I truly, truly think back to when I was in your shoes and these push weeks really develop who you are as a person. So the first thing that I want to talk about, if you take a look at the handout, is this concept of the emotional cycle of change. Just by show of hands, how many of you guys remember if you've ever got like a new pair of shoes, maybe a new car, you started how you felt your very first day of Cutco training? It's very normal whenever we start something to feel very, very optimistic, very excited. Okay. That's a normal feeling. And you're really pumped, you're dreaming big. And this phase of life, or in a cycle of a commitment, is what we call uninformed optimism, is where we just don't really know, we don't know, right? Some of you, this is your very first push week. Some of you, you've done multiple push weeks. But what our brains are good at doing is remembering all the good things we felt after the push is over, which is why we do it again and again and again. Okay. Then what happens is we get to this next little cycle that is called informed pessimism. That's kind of probably where some of you are right now, where it gets real. Shit gets real. We start to feel rejection. We're going to get tired, right? We start to feel this doubt. Why did I sign up for this thing in the first place? Am I actually going to hit my goal? Right? Our brain is designed to protect us. So your brain is constantly looking all day long of all the different things that they need to solve. So we have to remember why we started the journey, because that is to be expected. We will get there at, anytime we do something that's new or exciting, that will eventually happen. And then we sort of hit this valley of despair. And this is where a lot of people quit. This is where a lot of people throw in the towel. They start making up excuses and they find all the reasons why this can't work for them. But when you push through that, guess what happens? You hit the informed optimism, which is success. So if right now you are feeling tired, you're feeling frustrated, or you're questioning, is this really worth this? Okay, that's normal. You're not broken, you're human. Okay. And what is happening is you are developing great muscles that so many people that I coach do not have. You're in that valley, and the only way to get those muscles is through it. I can promise you in 10 years from now, you're probably not going to remember how tired you felt right now. You're probably not going to remember how many demos you did. You're probably not going to remember what your sales was. But what you will remember, and what I remember every single time I think back to a push week, is who I was becoming in the process, and how when you get out of your comfort zone and you're around people that are doing something different, you never go backwards. You never go backwards. And with everything out there right now, with AI and just all these different things that are happening, is your skills just continue to put you further and further ahead of the average people out there. So just remember that cycle, because it's going to happen time and time again whenever we start something new. Second thing is your why has to be louder than your excuses. Your why. You've probably heard time and time again that when your why has heart, your how is going to find a way, or your how is going to find legs. Doesn't matter if we're selling knives, if we are in some sort of a business that's working with people, when we know why we are doing something, it's so much bigger than just that phone call. It's so much bigger than that next demo. Because when things get hard, which they will, your reason has to matter. So we can't just push for vague goals. Yeah, Johnny thought it would be cool if I hit the limo. This is happening. It's not just about making money. Okay. It's about getting through the no-shows, the hang-ups. So what is your why? So if we've lost sight of why we're here, we really need to go back to that, because maybe it's a lot bigger than just selling a bunch of knives. Okay. And we want to remember why we're here so that we can get back on the phone, because it's never about the phone calls. It's never about just making that next sale. It's what this is the vehicle to make happen for you. So when you're so clear on what it is you want, everything else becomes a lot easier. So take some time before you jump on the phone today to go back into, why did you start this in the first place? Is it for that scholarship? Is it for the Race for Charity? Is it giving back? Is it for saving for the first car? Is it paying tuition? And those phone calls and everything that you do in the second half of this push is all about that. And if you're feeling off track, just really pause and really reconnect to that. Okay. That's key, not just in Cutco, but that is a huge key in life, is understanding why, right? And that will change as you go through different chapters in your life. Nothing is forever, but right now you're committed to this. So remember why you started. The third thing that I wanted to bring up is not speaking in absolutes. I heard this a lot in my Cutco days, and I hear this a lot outside of Cutco in a lot of companies I work with. And what happens is we can start to speak in what we call an absolute, where we'll say things like, oh, I never win contests. Push week just isn't my thing. I always choke at the end, right? We start to speak in assumptive, or no one has money. People don't answer their phone. No one answers their phone. So those are not facts. Those are stories, and you are the author. So this week doesn't have to be like the last one. Your choice, that's your choice from changing the narrative. And every phone call you make is got to be like it's the very first one. Think back to when you made that very first phone call. You were probably a little nervous, a little bit scared, but you didn't know what you didn't know. You were excited. And when we are doing those demos, that's our first opportunity. We don't want to take the last bad thing that happened and pull that in. So just be mindful of the language that we share and that we speak of, because we don't want to make declarations about our limitations. And we want to start declaring what we want to be true. The coolest thing about selling Cutco today is there are so many ways to sell knives. Okay? I'm not even actively selling Cutco, and I have 4 people that reached out to me this last week that are wanting to place orders. Okay, because it's the relationships we build. It's what they remember. And so we want to make sure that we really take it demo by demo, day by day, and we focus on really what we can control. The fourth thing is what we call the decision train. You might have heard this concept before. And a lot of times we just can play on our feelings. And so what's going to be really important, and what's going to be really, really key in your growth of this push week, is to follow through even if you don't feel like it. These are where traits like integrity come from. Getting disciplined is that if you wait to feel motivated, you're done. Winners never feel their way into action. They act their way into feelings. So the decision train is always going to go from, what is the decision that you make? What is the decision that you made to be here, to do this, the why? And then what are the actions that need to take place? Making phone calls, writing thank you cards, doing follow-up emails, going back and looking at demos maybe you did weeks ago, and just touching base with those people. And then that's when that feeling of fulfillment is going to come from. Okay. I was up till midnight last night working on some stuff for a client, and I still was up at 5:25 this morning. Did I feel like it? Hell no. But I acted my way into that because I knew that I was going to be tired anyways. And I never feel bad when I get my butt to the gym, right? So remember that we have to act our way into that feeling. So we don't get home oftentimes, right? And you've probably heard this analogy where you come home and you're like, oh, I'm just going to sit on the couch for a little bit, right? I work with coaching clients still on this, where we have to put things in our calendar. Okay. So book the call, send the message. Don't wait for the mood to lead yourself. Okay. You guys have an opportunity to reach people at any time of the day. When I was a Cutco sales rep initially, right, way back in 2006, cell phones wasn't a thing. Okay. Yes, I'm really making myself old now, but it's such an advantage to where you guys are at now because you don't have to make calls before 8 a.m. to reach somebody before they leave for the day. You don't have to make calls only at a certain time in the evening when people get home from work. Okay. As a working parent, my cell phone's with me all the time. I'm more likely to answer the phone during the day than sometimes in the evening because if I'm with the kids doing something in the evening, the daytime is perfect. So guess what? Anytime is a good time to make calls. Anytime. And the more calls you make, the more people that you're going to connect with. And you can be so innovative with audio messages and videos. And there's a never ending way to really connect people if you're really clear on the why and you make the decision to act no matter how you feel. Okay. Number 5 is that intention beats intensity. Push weeks are not always about doing the most. They're about doing what matters on purpose. So it doesn't mean that we don't commit to the number of calls, we don't commit to the number of demos, but we're very intentional. So we really want to protect our time, protect those power hours. Get yourself to bed early, right? Use that time, especially in a job like this where it's a lot of mental energy, is how are we filling our cup? Your mindset is also going to be really key, is not comparing ourselves to other people. Only compete with you. Only compete with who you were yesterday. If you're 1% better today, you're growing. Okay? We do not want to get in that place of comparison. It's not going to serve anybody, and everybody's running their own race. None of this is going to matter in 10 years with what the person beside you sold. But what will matter is the mindset and the energy that you developed to allow you to do hard things as you get further along in your journey, and protecting your energy. Okay? So recover on purpose and not just by accident. The reps that get to the finish line that win and succeed at a high level don't always necessarily have the most talent. They have the most intention. So just asking yourself throughout the day, is what I'm doing right now getting me further or closer to the goals that I set for myself? And if it's not, then we need to redirect. Number 6 is what you track, you can grow. This is something that I learned early on in Cutco. It was a fantastic way to stay in control and not ride the waves of emotions. And it's something I use with almost every single client I work with now. Because so much of what we can do as a human is get caught up in our feelings, right? And we can feel like things aren't going great. And we can feel, right, that maybe our closing percentage is not where we want it to be. But that's just a feeling. We can't grow any business on feelings. So we have to figure out, what can we track? What are the key things that you are in control of? Because if you're not tracking your data, you're guessing. And guessing leads to it's not working. So what can we track? Well, we can track how many contacts we have. We can track how many phone calls we make, how many demos we booked, what's our conversion rate, what's our closing ratio, how many hours did we actually work on the day. And when we start to track what we're actually doing in our business, you take ownership. And when you take ownership, that's where you unlock power. And that's what gives you confidence, because we can feel like we made a lot of calls. But if I look at my data and I say, oh, wow, I only made 7 calls. What is 7 calls? If you're not hammering out 40 calls a day, I don't know what you're doing. There's not a shortage of people out there. If you zoom out for a second and you take a look at just even the city you're in, there are thousands, if not millions of people. We have access on Zoom. There are not a shortage of people that eat, that will invest in knives. Every business owner, athlete, or top performer knows that if we want to grow, we have to track. And that's where this habit starts here. And I use this now with clients that are running very successful businesses. One of my clients is a law firm. This law firm, the lawyers had no idea what was happening, how to track. We started tracking back in September. They've tripled the amount of clients that they've started to take on since September from this simple practice. So again, what you're learning here isn't a knife thing, isn't a Cutco thing. It's a business thing. And if you want to be successful in life, get really, really freaking good at selling Cutco, and you will be fantastic at everything you do. And number 7 is how character is built. Okay, this is how character is built, these push weeks. Because you've probably heard that analogy that it's not what we do in the light, it's what we do in the dark. And in life and in business, it's not the easy wins that shape you. It's this. You are a small, small, small percentage of people out there that are getting up early at your age that are doing something that's different. And it's epic. I can tell you nothing in my life has been normal, and it's epic. Okay. The day that you don't feel like it, do it anyways. The day that you fall short, still show up. And the day that you could probably just coast along, but choose to finish strong. You don't want easy. Right? Oftentimes we'll say, oh, if this was easier. No, we don't want easy. We want to be better. And this is how you develop that muscle. The 8 one is that it's not really about the knives. Oftentimes we go through different stages of our career where initially we're like, oh, I sell knives. And then it becomes more of, I'm a sales representative. No, you have an opportunity working with a multi-million-dollar company that has been around for 75 years, that sells one of the finest products that people use every single day and is guaranteed forever. Okay? It's not about selling Cutco. It's about building discipline for whatever career path that you want to take on. It's about building confidence to bet on yourself. It's about the grit on how to outlast the hard things, because hard things are going to happen in life. And having these skills allows us to navigate through that with so much more mental toughness and people skills. That is going to make you unstoppable. So no matter where life takes you, entrepreneurship, into maybe a corporate role, parenting, relationships, the qualities that you build here will serve you for life, hands down. Number 9 is that the sales won't matter, but who you become will. As I've shared a few times today, 10 years from now, you are not going to probably remember how much you sold. You're probably not going to remember whether you hit the exact goal or even what place you finished in. But what you will remember is the moment you decided to finish with pride, to prove something to yourself, and really to leave it all in the field. Because that's the kind of thing that stays with you forever, is you remember those moments of success that matter to you. And the last thing I'll leave you with is you still have time. How epic. It is only day 8. So fire. So much of this momentum is going to pull in and start showing into this second half of the push week. And it's easy for us to think, oh man, I'm so not where I want to be, or this is getting hard. Maybe not all of you feel that way, but I also just want to zoom out for a second and just remind you, it's been 8 days. Okay. People do what you're doing every single day. They get up early, they show up to a career, and they work for the full day. All right. So just give yourself a bit of grace that what you're doing right now is building momentum and habits. And we just don't go 0 to 60 in 8 days, right? We are going to go 0 to 60 and then we go 60 to 100. So just remember that so much of what's happening right now is not just setting you up to finish strong in the second half, but it's setting you to finish strong for the summer, lead momentum into the fall, and have an incredible year, because we don't have to go backwards. After this push week, don't just take your foot off the gas pedal, right? Still continue to keep that heartbeat going in your business so that you can make as much money as you want this summer. So many times people say to me, well, how much do you make? Or doesn't that worry you that you don't have a salary? I've never had a salary since I was 20. Well, ever. I started selling Cutco when I was 21. I'm 40. No, nothing I do is guaranteed. And I love it because no one is going to tell me what I'm worth. If I want to go make more money, guess what? I can go sign more clients. And that's exactly what Cutco taught me, is that you're not limited. I bought my first car. I bought my first home. I invested in so many things working with Cutco. I made enough money selling Cutco to surprise my husband with his dream car, which was a Hellcat. I've traveled the world. I hit 40 countries by 40. I've just done so many things. And that was all because I wasn't limited. No one ever told me how much I was worth. And that is incredible. And it's so rare to find. So there is still so much time. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you're feeling tired, but the scoreboard hasn't locked it yet. Okay. Your next call, your next demo could be your best one yet. I hope that message hits home for you, whether you're in your own version of a push week, leading a team, building your business, or just navigating a season that feels like a stretch. Finishing strong isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing who you want to be when things get hard. It's about staying connected to your why, leading with intention, and remembering that the scoreboard doesn't define you, your character does. Because the truth is, you probably won't remember the numbers or milestones 10 years from now, but what you will remember is that you kept going, that you didn't give up on yourself, and that's what builds a life and business you're proud of. So if this episode spoke to you, take a second to share it with someone who's in the middle of a push, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And as always, thank you for being here, because your dream life starts with the way you lead, the way you live, and the way you grow. I'll see you next time.